You go, Mace. We'll go around.
So
Go on the horn.
I've heard people discuss stuff like this before. This is a little bit more of like a meta conversation, not like meta Facebook, like
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 we're talking about
actually meta.
podcasts. We're talking about podcasts
well,
on
not,
the podcast.
No, well, it's like people on podcasts. I think have talked about this, but
3 white dudes sitting around some microphones.
I've found lately. Now
Everyone wants to hear our opinion.
Now that for most of my adult life, I would say like, 20 and up. There was always this divide, especially when I was in college, when I like didn't have any money, to be like, let me get the Netflix password. Let me let me try and dig around and find an iPhone cable. Like essentially like I'm not going to pay for this, like either because I can't afford it or I'm going to trying to find a way to like steal it essentially. And what I've found lately is like these adult things where you're like, I can just pay for it. Like I don't know why I'm still in this mentality of like, I guess I'll just use my one iPhone cable and move it around the house when I need it. Or like we were talking about going to Costco. This is what sparked my first thought when we were going to go to Costco was, who do I know that has a membership? And not I can just buy a membership. It's like $60.
Well, I would say for something like that.
And so
like, you don't
the reason
know if it's
I'm bringing it up is like, do you guys have those things
Yes.
where you're like, why am I not just buying this?
Dude, that's exactly what I was just telling Steve today. Like, what did we need? What did we need when we were kids when we bought the fucking Gundam model kits? Was a pair of clippers.
I don't know that we knew that was like
I know
a better
that,
way
but-
to do it, but
We didn't have access to the internet was one thing, but I went and bought a Gundam model kit at I keep saying fucking Borders, Barnes and Noble. I went home and I opened it up and I was like, I don't have something to properly clip this with. And I've seen the clippers at Target and I was like, I'm going right now. And Danielle was like, no, I could give you something. Like I have something that would work. And I was like, no, I'm going to get what's
The right
specifically
thing.
made for this.
Yeah.
Like I'm done. Like I've built ones with
nail
clippers, like just clipping the plastic out with nail clippers and filing it off with a nail clipper. And I was like, all right, I'm not going to do this again. It took me 3.5 hours to build one when it should have taken me an hour.
Yeah.
Or an hour and a half.
Exactly.
So I understand that, and it's really frustrating. I don't know why we would do it. I do think it might be like a borderline evolutionary thing. Like, do I already have a solution to this problem? You know what I mean? Like, that's the default. Is like, should I just carry this cable around? You know what I mean?
Well, it's like I just like, for example, like I just bought 3 Anchor iPhone cables, which like I think Anchor's top.
Yeah, they're
notch.
very good.
If you're gonna buy cables, you got to do Anchor. Because I had one
Aki as
like
well.
one true iPhone cable, that the white one, like an actual like licensed cable, that I would like move from the couch to the bedroom to in here, and I was like, how much does an iPhone cable, like $10? You know what I mean? And like,
no.
well,
You buy
like, I got
one
2
from Apple.
I got 2 Anchor
this thing's
cables for I
fucking
think
pissing me off.
$12 or $15 from Anchor. And it's like it's like you have these quality of life improvements that like you just don't think about because you forget that you're an adult and you forget that you have money to pay for it. And like I'm curious if you have an example of that where you're like, oh, I'm an adult now.
Yeah.
let me say, I think
Steve's entire fucking collection of.
well, hold on, that's different. That's different. But what you're talking about is like not wanting to buy something even though you have the money for it because you're just
forgetting.
I think it's 2
Forgetting.
things. Yeah, it's that. It's like, do I need? I think sometimes it takes you to step back and say, I can buy this. Like I could buy a second one. Why am I carrying around this iPhone cable? I'm sorry, I'm not talking to the mic. I'm not used to
You're
it.
fine.
So I agree. I can't think of like too many things, but there are definitely times where I'm like, oh, it'd be nice to have that, but I don't go and sit down and do it because I'm like, well, like I want to get a garlic press because you had one and it's
Dude,
nice.
I want one of those.
But like I hate like chopping up garlic when I'm just gonna roast it on the pan or whatever. But something I can say, and my buddy Tony, shout out Tony, roasted me for this around his birthday because I don't remember the last time I bought not dress socks because I just have socks and I wear them around the house or whatever. But when I go to work, I put on the dress socks that I bought. And then, whatever the regular socks I have, I don't care. So I have some with like holes in it. And once they get like real holey, obviously you throw them out. But I have some that I've had for years that are worn down.
Yeah.
And I'm like, every time I go get socks on the weekend and I'm like starting to run low on my not dress socks, I'm like, I should probably just go and fucking buy some socks, but I don't do it because I'm like,
I think the other thing on that though is like you get to Target, and because you don't have a list of things that you've said over the last 3.5 years,
that's what I'm saying. I don't write it down.
I do the same thing, dude. I'll go in and I'll be like, dude, I should just buy a new one of these, and I don't, because I never remember. But I know exactly what you're talking about. Where I mean, I did it recently. I put all of my cables together, and I separated what I use on a daily basis around the house, and then what I need to travel with. And I have what I travel with in my bag at all times, and then everywhere that I normally have a cable, is there one available to me?
Yeah, I've recently had to buy more USB-C cables because I was just like, I have a bajillion micro cables, and I've just like stored some of those that could probably be trashed at this point, but USB-C is not.
I put those all in the garage. Like at this point, like I have two micro USB cables that I have in the house, because almost nothing I use except for the meter and maybe one other device uses that now. I mean, ask me 5 years ago, I would have been like, what the fuck, dude? No, there's no way.
I mean, I will say I only have I basically use the phone charger that came with my phone pretty much exclusively. Still have that cable, but I have other options. So if I am just sitting at my desk or at the couch, like I have other USB-C cables.
USB-C to iPhone.
I don't have to go up to my room.
To iPhone to Lightning.
So, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I don't have to go to my room. I have other ones like around, but I don't move. But when I go, I'm going to stay somewhere. Yeah, I take the one charger that's by my bed that I use most of the time.
So I leave this with me all the time, and I do not own a single Apple product. But if someone were to ask me, Lena does.
Yeah,
yes.
that will help her.
But other people have been like, yo, do you have a fucking charger? And, it's in my bag at all times that, yes, I could, because it's USB-C to Lightning.
Yeah, so. It happened to me also when I bought Xbox One controller. I just posted on the Discord about. I'll put a little screenshot. So if you see right over there on the desk, I was charging my old Xbox One controllers. And so I was trying to connect them to the computer, and it didn't work. And I looked up a video, and it was like, if it doesn't have this type of plastic, it's not Bluetooth. And I was like, I literally damn near gave up and was like, okay, I guess I'll have to use mouse and keyboard. And then I was like, wait, there's a Target, there's a Walmart, there's all these places. There's a GameStop where I could just buy a fucking controller. And I had literally gotten to the point where I was like, there's no way I can fix this. And but it's just these things where it's like,
no, I think
you realize, okay, I have $50.
Yeah,
I can go buy a controller.
I want to buy an Xbox controller to use for the computer, but I have 4 other controllers that are good. It's just when I go play some games, if you buy a game on Steam, sometimes the button inputs are the Xbox controller buttons. Yeah. So I'm using my PlayStation controller or my 8-bit however you say that, controller, and it's not exactly the same. And so it fucks me up. Some games will recognize it sometimes, but most of the time they don't. And I just have gotten by with memorizing what the button's supposed to be. Not that it says A.
Yeah.
But I want to do it. I have other ones that are good controllers. It's not like I'm just fucking around with, something terrible. But I had bought some of my friends' Xbox controllers because they were using $20 knockoff 360 controllers to play on their computer. And I'm like, you guys need to upgrade.
Exactly.
So because I knew they wouldn't do it for themselves. And then I was like, man, I should just get myself one. But I wasn't about to drop $200 on controllers at once. So.
And I know that obviously I recognize that that's a very privileged place of being that I can afford to go buy a $59 controller. But it's not just reserved to that. It's whenever I think about I do really want that, but it's not if I can afford it. It's if I'm going to recognize that it's something that I could easily do. It's only when I see if it's a really expensive where I think well, I probably shouldn't do that. It's but before that it's well, do I know anybody that has that? Or
no, dude.
You know what I mean? It's so bizarre.
I think it's habitual, dude. I
just wonder when that will go away.
I mean, I think part of it too is you said in the first place, we're not that old. right? So
Yeah, but dude,
it was
I
only.
mean, I'm almost 30.
I know, but I'm saying it was only, maybe not even a decade ago that you were talking about what you're saying now, where you're in college, you don't have a lot of money. I mean, sometimes I still feel like I do shit that I'm like, I have real money for this, but
Yeah.
there are, things that we do that I don't know. It's funny just because you're talking about the cables and stuff, like small things that maybe you don't think about, but then you're like willing to spend a bunch of dollars trying to complete the
I
N64
know.
collection but that's different. I mean,
so like out of mind.
but even probably a couple of years ago, you might have been like, dude, that's kind of a lot of money to drop on games I might not play. And then once it comes around a couple times, you're like, okay, you know what? It's not that much when you
Yeah.
piecemeal it. It's
Yeah.
not like it's an insane amount of money. What Sean was going to bring up earlier, me buying figures, like I know it's just plastic that I like to have,
No,
but it's
but-
a
Yeah, but
collection
you like
thing.
it.
Yeah.
But even many years when I first started, it was like hard for me to look at something and be like, oh shit, dude,
but
$200.
That's the perfect example to me, though. Is like you've broken out of that, at least in that aspect of like I am an adult. I can spend my money how I want to.
Yeah.
And mom can give me shit for spending $200 on plastic, but that's what makes
She
me
does.
happy. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
that's what
but
I'm saying. Like, who gives a fuck what
it's
mom
an
says?
investment, brother.
But doesn't she like spend money on like fucking like Penguins
Dude,
tickets
she
and
falls
shit?
for-
Hold
I mean,
on.
I'm-
She also
Falls for multi-level marketing stuff. So
Well,
I'm gonna leave
hold
it
on.
there.
Bro, is she in
Look,
Herbalife?
she's supportive. Don't get me wrong. She
Yeah.
just
No, I love my
every
mom.
once in a
This
while
is
she
smart.
Yo,
says,
mom, love you if you're hearing this. Love you, appreciate you.
She listens to
I'll
every
just
Multi-level
say-
marketing is bad though.
she'll ask me like, you ever think you're gonna stop watching cartoons? And I'm like,
No,
no,
No.
but
No,
Yeah.
queen.
no, I'm not.
but no, I mean, same thing. I'm saying like it took me a while to be like, I bought. There's more expensive stuff out there, but I bought
what I mean?
like a figure worth like $400, which was a lot for me at the time. But I remember when I first started looking at some stuff, there was a Bloodborne like 3 foot tall statue. It was like $600, and I said, "Fuck, dude, I can't be doing that." Now I probably would have caved and bought that, but years ago I was like, that's a lot. Again, space being one thing. So there's a lot of stuff that goes into these thoughts where I feel like a cable, it's such a funny example because it isn't something you really need more than one of. That's you're not going to pay for the convenience, but now you're like, you know what? I do
Yeah,
want the
it's 15
convenience.
bucks. I want to riff on what you just said a little bit. I find that like you were talking about buying figures, and I think when we went to East Starland together, you bought a figure that was kind of expensive, but it was like
It's like $200.
essentially the same as what it would be online.
I looked,
give or
yeah.
take. I find, and I'm curious about this. We don't have to talk about this forever because I know you probably have a ton to talk about. But I find that I have way less, like quote unquote buyer's remorse when I buy in person, and I almost feel like I have like I put down my walls when I buy in person as opposed to online, because when I go online, I'm like, I'm trying to find the best
Are
deal.
you talking about though the same product you've seen in real life, or are you talking about something you've never seen? Because I think
Yeah.
there's a big difference
Yes.
between I've experienced and seen this product and I'm going to order it versus I don't know and no one I know has this. Like Zelda, you order that off the internet, you know what you're going to get. You're getting the game, right? But if you bought Zelda merch from a third party that's not Nintendo, it may end up being polyurethane leather
Yeah.
instead of
Yeah.
real leather, right?
I'm talking about like I've like just this is what made me think of it. I've been looking at like I just bought Pokemon Snap, Superman.
Oh, are you feeling buyer's remorse about
No.
part of your
Probably
collection?
should
No.
about Superman.
Superman.
Game sucks.
It's terrible. It was cheap though.
As it should be.
Majora's
sucks.
Mask. I think I already said that. And Super Mario 64 for N64. I've seen those
Not
games.
the PlayStation version.
The no, the Wii version. Now, I've seen all those games on eBay, Mercari, Craigslist, whatever, for their price charting value, and then I go to McKay's and I see it and I'm like, I'm buying it.
I will
And
say,
and I feel like my fucking like, oh, I'm gonna get the best deal just drops when I go in person.
I don't know. I don't feel that way because I think
that's
when
how
you're-
I am.
I know. You're asking, and I'm saying I don't think I feel that way because I think with things like that, where kind of like what Sean's saying, you know what you're gonna get. There's an aspect of in person, and you see it, and you're like, I could just buy it right now, and then you're like, well, shipping and stuff too. Like maybe the price washes out, and like when you see a game, maybe it's in perfect condition in person, and online you might get the pictures, but. Like when we went to East Starland, I just kind of wanted to buy something. I didn't. It wasn't like I'd been looking for this figure, and I was like, dude, yeah, I'll just get it because it's cool. I like the character. It's a good figure, whatever. But
I mean, I think if it's close to MSRP too, it's like you might as well.
That's what I looked because I was like, if I'm gonna order it online, but I don't know. I don't think my walls come down in person. The only time I will say is if you are at a place you're not going to come back to for a long time. Part of that, like I just said, is maybe you just want to buy something, but also you're there and you're like, well, I mean, I could spend a month trying to find the best deal, and I'm here. Fuck it.
Yeah, I just feel like I tend to cave on the things that I really want. Like when I bought Banjo-Kazooie, it was a premium, but it was right there in front of me. It's behind a glass case. It's essentially the same price I'd pay online, and it's in great condition. And I was like, yeah, I'm fucking buying it.
Yeah,
like,
but you wouldn't have spent double.
Yeah, probably not. But I probably would have spent 1.25. I probably would have spent 75 on a nice cart because I was like, I'm taking it home right now.
Yeah, no, I mean that's what I'm saying is there's a limit to that. I agree that being there in person's enticing.
Yeah,
but I don't think I've ever like held out online and then saw it in person and be like, oh, fuck it.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
I'll agree with you there. It's either I'm wanting to buy it equally in both places.
It's
and
just
I just
that
pull the trigger because it's in front of me and I can have it that day. Or like I said, I've not seen the product.
And seeing it in person, you're like, okay,
Yeah.
I could do that.
Where that would be where I'm like, okay, let me I'm touching it. It is what I'm expecting. Let me buy it.
Okay. Cool.